right, deep divers, welcome back. So today we are diving into something pretty interesting. It's this whole idea of the counter argument. And, on the surface, it might just seem like, just disagreeing with someone, but it's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
It's really about anticipating what someone's going to say and coming up with ways to overcome, their objections. So it's fascinating.
It is. It's almost like, I don't know, like a strategic way to persuade people. It's like a verbal chess match,
Yeah, it is like a chess match.
Yeah.
And what's so cool is that, like, a lot of it depends on understanding your audience.
You can't really build a good counter argument if you don't know where they're coming from.
Right, exactly. You have to kind of get into their head.
Yeah.
And, our source material today kind of lays out these three key elements of a counter argument. It's like anticipation, addressing, and then overcoming.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how they all kind of build on each other.
Yeah. So, like, when we talk about anticipation, you're thinking about, okay, what are the possible objections someone might have? What evidence might they use? And to do that, you need a really solid understanding of the topic itself, but also of who you're talking to, their background, their beliefs, all of that.
It's like you're almost a mind reader.
In a way, yeah. You're trying to anticipate their thoughts. And then you have the addressing part, which is, not just ignoring their points, but really engaging with them, acknowledging their perspective, even if you don't agree with it. And then finally, you have this overcoming piece where you present your case, and that might involve bringing in new evidence. Using logic, maybe even appealing to emotions.
Yeah.
It depends on the situation.
So it's like being a really good debater.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to kind of think on your feet and have those counterpoints.
Exactly. You got to be prepared. And that's where that audience awareness really comes in. Because, let's say you're talking about climate change.
Okay.
The person you're talking to is really worried about the economic impact.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just focus on the environmental science. You got to address those economic concerns.
That makes sense.
Talk about the benefits of green technologies, the costs of inaction, things like that.
So it's like you said, speaking their language.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, the source actually gave this really cool example from Star Wars. Return of the Jedi. Remember that conversation between Luke and Obi-Wan's ghost about Darth Vader? Where Luke is like, wait a minute, you told me this in A New Hope.
Right, he feels betrayed.
And now you're telling me something totally different.
He wants answers.
Exactly. And that's where Obi-Wan really uses that counter argument. Like he anticipated Luke's going to be upset.
Yeah.
And he addresses the discrepancy, but he does it in this really smart way.
Yeah. And he doesn't just dismiss Luke's feelings,
He doesn't say you're wrong.
No, he says, what I told you was true from a certain point of view.
Right. He appeals to this bigger concept.
This bigger picture.
Exactly. And by doing that, he kind of overcomes Luke's objection.
He does. He reframes the whole issue.
Yeah.
Just like with that climate change example.
Right.
He acknowledges Luke's perspective, but then broadens it,
Yeah, it's really interesting how he turns it around.
It's brilliant.
And so, I guess, taking that back to our real lives, if we're trying to have a discussion with someone who disagrees with us, it's not just about, like, winning. It's about connecting and really trying to understand their perspective.
Absolutely. Understanding their motivations, their values, even their fears sometimes. Right. That's what makes a counter argument truly effective.
And maybe even find some common ground.
You can, sometimes even bridge those gaps between really different viewpoints.
So deep divers, next time you're in a situation where you really need to get your point across, maybe it's at work.
Yeah.
Or a discussion with a friend, or even, online.
Oh, yeah.
Think about how you can use this idea of anticipation, addressing and overcoming.
To strengthen your argument.
Yeah, and to really create a more
meaningful dialogue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So until next time, keep on diving.
Keep diving.